still up. Question 2, what are short-term measures that we could be implemented to relieve congestion on I-405? Do you support expanded or reduced tolls on Puget Sound highways? What method of transportation, bus, subway, light rail, land speeder, will meet our mass transit needs for the next 50 years, and what will it take to implement it?
Big question, multiple parts. After 15,000 doors in this district, this is the #1 issue. It's not unclear what I hear about at every single door is transportation and tolling. It's the biggest issue in our district. I'm against tolling. I would like to repeal them. I am realistic though, and I think that's probably a long shot. If they're going to stay, we have to put the money that we have there and stop sending it to the company in Texas and stop building additional toll lanes. We actually need to use it to fix the problems in the corridor. You asked if I'm against tolling on other roads. I'm only for tolling if it's going to a project. So for example, if you're going to toll the 520 bridge to pay for the bonds, and when the thing's paid off, tolls go away, that's fine. I don't want to see Seattle and this really turn into where I grew up in New York, where it costs $15 just to get into the city. Additionally, they're taxing small businesses basically. So right now I've got a small business where 82% of my clients come from Seattle. They usually come after work in rush hour. So now they're paying about $30 just to get to my small business. So at some point, they're going to decide to use cheaper options closer to home and not deal with the traffic. So we're hurting the economy. What can we do? A lot of things. We need a lot of investments. We need another lane north of Bothell. We've got to fix the entry and exit points of the existing hot lane, causing all kinds of accidents. We need to have mass transit. I support an electric VRT robust line going from Linwood all the way down to Renton, and it needs to be inline. So very much like Montlake Terrace, if you go to Montlake Terrace, they have inline one, which means you get out of your car in the parking garage, you go over, and the bus doesn't get out of the lane. That will enable people to actually get out of their cars. Thank you.
So I would like to see, very short term, we remove the tolling on 405. I would like to see one of those lanes restored to a general purpose lane, and the remaining lane returned back to an HOV 2+, which is what it was intended for. In 2002, there was a transportation package that was passed, and it had bipartisan support. We would have seen 4 general purpose lanes from Linwood to Tukwila and 1 2+ HOV lane. And how that turned into what we have now is producing a Bothell bottleneck. And this is something I hear about probably as frequently as you do at the doors. It is a pain for families. We're not landlocked. We have alternatives. They're not good, but we have alternatives. We have waves, and so we find now that commuters are getting home by driving through neighborhoods, arterials. For those of us that live here in the district, if you want to go down to the grocery store really quick in the evening or drop your kids off at ballet, it's become a huge chore just to get out of our neighborhoods. We're seeing an impact on businesses. For businesses, I've heard of actually one of them is now being charged, which is called a Bothell surcharge, just to have deliveries made to her business because tolling and traffic time can be so unpredictable. It's ridiculous. This is something that needs to be addressed, and we need to restore it. I'd also like to see transportation packages broken into smaller pieces so we can see 2, 3, 4-year plans instead of plans that are 15 years out, and the legislators that passed it are not accountable when it's finally delivered, and we're dealing with the aftermath of it. Thank you.
All right, I too want to get rid of tolls. My opponent, I wish he were here because now I'm going to talk behind his back, but he did vote for the 405 tolls originally in 2011. Those lanes have already been paid for. And the state took them and decided to use them to produce revenue for themselves yet again to expand tolls elsewhere. This is a real frustration, and it's not right. We need to remove those tolls, look at other solutions. I'm going to ask you to act responsibly and stop the spread of SB3. We don't need a solution that was developed in the 1850s for our modern issues of traffic. We have auto-driven cars that are coming up, and by the time that they finish developing these rail lines, fully automated cars are going to be relatively mature. You're going to get denser capacity on your highways using that method and the method that Mindie just prescribed of 1 extra general lane and HOV lanes. So,
all right, so future technologies, I'm waiting for hover bikes. So this is a very multifaceted problem. And when I'm knocking on doors in Montgomery Terrace, they're pretty happy with their transit solutions. When I'm knocking on doors in Kirkland, the Bothell slowdown is in Bothell because it's what used to be in Kirkland. So things have sort of changed around, and there have been some losers and winners on that. That's not okay. But we do represent a very large district, and the eastern parts of our district have a lot more wish for some real options. So I think the tolls had some issues with their rollout as they were first administered, and I think that we can make some changes. I want people to understand, though, that congestion pricing is there to utilize a very scarce resource. It's a supply and demand issue. And so if you want those lanes to be available for the bus rapid transit system, they actually have to be moving at 45 miles an hour or more. In order to secure the federal funding that we needed, we had to guarantee that our HOV lanes were moving 45 miles an hour or better on average. So there are some reasons why. That doesn't change the fact that it feels like we're having to pay for those lanes twice. Some solutions, I think short term, we can take the shoulders, beef those up, and use those as a travel lane during rush hour.
4 or 5 tolls, they gotta go. What we really also need to look at is, as soon as we do add things to the shoulder, where are the police gonna be when there's an accident? What's gonna happen then to our congestion? We have to stop just counting the cars that go under the bridge. We have to look at the speed. When your average speed is slower than anybody on a bicycle, and you're looking to your left, and somebody's going by you doing 60, and there's 2 lanes, and one's wide open, we really have to rethink what happened. Now, okay, it might have been a great idea at the beginning. And when they got visited with, they got handled in Olympia. They got sold a bill of goods that we're paying for. And I don't think we should have to pay for that. We certainly shouldn't have to pay for it twice. How many times have we seen $10 coming out of Linwood? We want to solve the problem, we need to take a look at our infrastructure. We need to take a look at our collective distributor lanes. We need to move that second stripe over and do get back that general purpose lane. If you need that other lane to go faster, maybe for a few hours a day you go to a +3. But why in the world should we be paying for it? And why in the world should we be paying that much for it where it goes out of state? So those are some of the things we really need to look at. I don't believe 405 is a toll solution for us.